Karen's relentless obsession escalated once again. This time, she dialed the police, insisting that I yield important papers in my leased lodge. Her claims were as baseless as they were audacious, framed in the language of authority but entirely devoid of legal justification. In her mind, emergency calls and moral posturing were sufficient to compel compliance, but she had failed to anticipate the meticulous preparation and foresight that had become my standard defense. I had already anticipated her move. Every document in question, leases, ownership papers, and relevant legal records, was fully secured and duplicated, with copies held in multiple locations. These papers were critical not only for my property rights but also for ongoing judicial matters, and I had long ensured that no coercion could compromise their safety. Karen's pattern of escalation was predictable, and her assumptions about immediate compliance were doomed from the start. When the police arrived, Karen was visibly agitated, insisting that her call demanded immediate action. "He must surrender those papers," she proclaimed. "It's an emergency." Her performance, meant to instill urgency and authority, was theatrical but fundamentally flawed. The officers paused to assess the situation, aware of prior incidents involving Karen's repeated overreach. I calmly approached, presenting full documentation verifying my rights and control over the lodge. "These documents are lawfully in my possession," I explained. "Any attempt to seize them without proper cause constitutes interference, harassment, and potential legal liability. Your call does not grant authority over my property or my records." The officers reviewed the documentation thoroughly and confirmed the legality of my actions. Karen's claims, once bolstered by her confidence in HOA authority and the presence of emergency responders, dissolved entirely under scrutiny. Karen, of course, did not retreat immediately. She attempted to assert her perceived moral and organizational authority, arguing that the papers were a communal concern. But her arguments fell flat against documented ownership, legal precedent, and calm authority. Every step she took to manipulate the situation only further exposed her lack of legal understanding. Seizing the opportunity, I presented additional evidence, copies of the relevant legal proceedings that involved the lodge and my rights to maintain custody of the documents. The officers reviewed everything and politely but firmly instructed Karen that she had no authority to compel surrender. Her repeated emergency calls and threats of coercion were documented, further establishing a pattern of harassment. By the end of the day, the lodge remained secure, the papers untouched, and Karen had retreated, frustrated and humiliated. Her predictable reliance on coercion, theatrics, and emergency calls had once again been neutralized through preparation, legal knowledge, and strategic foresight. Every escalation she attempted now carried the weight of documented failure and potential consequences for her continued overreach. The incident underscored a crucial lesson. Entitlement and perceived authority cannot override preparation, lawful documentation, and calm decisiveness. Karen's obsession with control had become predictable, and predictability allowed it to be countered effectively. By anticipating each escalation, maintaining readiness, and documenting every interaction, I had transformed her interference into a tool that reinforced legal and social boundaries. As I walked through the lodge later that evening, reviewing the secured papers and reflecting on the day's events, I felt a profound sense of clarity. Karen's obsession, relentless as it was, could not overcome foresight, preparation, and lawful authority. Each failed attempt had further reinforced the protection of my property, the integrity of my documents, and the security of my family. In this ongoing saga, predictability, strategy, and legality were unassailable shields against even the most persistent attempts at coercion.